Good evening, everyone. I'm super excited to be with you all for the next 60 minutes. And thanks so much, Ankita, for this beautiful introduction. And my warm thanks to the entire Shinshin team, and special thanks to Murli for giving me this opportunity to talk on this topic, which is all about transition leadership. So I think Ankita has already given a lot no, introduction about me. So I think I should not move spending any time on it. So let me move to the topic right away. And as we know the instructions, so make use of the chat box if you have any query, and if anything relevant to the topic, then Ankita, please try to stop me there and itself, so I can just take it on, or we can take them towards the end.
Sure, sure. I will do that.
So this topic, transition leadership, is very important for us in the sense making sure, like we all know about our technical areas and we all know about our goals and targets. But many of the times it so happens that though we all accomplish our targets successfully, but we don't emerge as a very successful leader. And when we sit and think on it, by the time it so happens, like either maybe we are late, right? So we don't exactly get back to the root cause. Why did no it happen to me, or why I'm not a very great leader? So sometimes these questions also comes to our mind. But as we all know, like, life gives us many opportunities to kind of learn and grow, because everybody needs some space, some time to grow into this stage. So as we all know, the road is very tough and the path is full of roadblocks. But what's more important is, like, we are focused and we keep trying and we do navigate into this area, and we achieve the desired results. So when I talk about this transition leadership, every leadership transition creates certain uncertainty. What is that uncertainty? When I say, it is like whether as a leader I'll be able to seize those opportunities, will I be able to form a right team, whatever changes I'm no uh, kind of making my management agree upon, will those changes be sustainable in the long run? Will a worthy successor be developed if I leave the organization and move on? Will the organization will have some talent, homegrown? So these questions always boil down to one thing, which is like, will the leader be successful in his areas of responsibilities? So with these questions, I would like to begin the agenda for today's meeting. So as you all know, like, this topic in itself is very huge, transition leadership. So it has got its own verticals in depth and breadth. So for me, looking at the audience interest, so I have kept this very small session so that we can have almost 45 minutes for the session, and maybe another quick 10 minutes for the wrap up for the question answers. So the focus for today is transition from peer to leader. So when I say from peer to leader, I will talk more about it because this is going to cover a major part of my today's session. It's something like when a transition is happening from a peer to a leadership role in the same environment. It is nothing but the same organization, and the second is in a different environment, which is outside the organization. The second topic which I'll touch upon is transition from leader to leader. So already I'm a leader in my present organization, and I'm getting moved outside of the organization and taking a leadership role. So I'll be carrying some baggage, I'll be carrying something tag, like I'm already a leader. So almost like, no, I'll make sure like I'm going to be a successful leader there. So not exactly. So what we need to keep in mind while we are having this kind of transition in our career. So this is something I'll touch upon. And the last one is the transition leadership, especially a small 2 3 slides to talk about for the women who are right now on a career break, and they would have previously in their role of leadership, and after 10 months to 12 months of break, with juggling so many activities at home, it's always a dilemma for the management, for the organization. Should I be offering the same role, leadership role, in the sense like, should I be making sure the team will be able to deliver best? So what exactly, as a woman, if I'm on a career break, what things I should keep in mind and start preparing towards it, so that my transition is smooth? right? So these are the three topics which I'm more focused for today's session, and I'll be talking about them in the subsequent slides. And here there is a quote by Jim Cramer, and he's one of the famous keynote speaker who talks mostly on the leadership management. What you will be tomorrow, you are becoming one today, right? So this is one of the quote by Jim. So now I'll be moving to the next topic, which is all about the definition of the transition leadership. So I think many of us know there is a two words which are put up here. One is transition and the one is leadership. So when I combine these two words, transition and leadership, it hits somewhere, something familiar which we would have heard or seen in our life. Just remove the leadership word, but if you just look at the transition, it is nothing but, like we say, there is only one thing which is constant, is change. So something transition is also very important for our career growth, for making us to handle bigger challenges and assignments in our career. So when I talk about what is exactly this transition leadership, what is the definition about this transition leadership? So this goes something like all about people management. It is just all about people management. So people from HR, people from the management will definitely understand when I talk about people management. A leadership role is a position of designated responsibility within an organization that involves people management, right? So, as a big part of workforce management, leadership role requires one to carefully juggle the sub roles of supervisor, coach, decision maker, and visionary. So, I have a workforce and I have team members under me, and I, as a leader, as a manager, I have some more sub areas which are part of my responsibility. So what are those responsibility? I should not be always keep in my mind like I'm the only leader, I'm the only manager, and I'm only going to task, and I'm only going to give you a task, right? No, it has four sub components as a leadership role, which is nothing but supervisor, coach, decision maker, and visionary. I think many of us know what is supervisory task, what is coaching, what do we do as a decision maker, and what is a visionary. So just kind of make sure we all understand the same definitions. So I'll just briefly explain each one of those terms again here. So when you say supervisory task, it is all about delegation, communication, and how well you coordinate those tasks, right? And at the same time, you need to monitor the work performance, including the deadlines of the projects. So this all are something comes under your day-to-day supervisory task. And when I say coaching, it is nothing but you need to keep coach your team members so that the employees are familiar with the workplace and they develop their skills, so they consistently deliver the required performance at the work. You need to be a good coach so that your team members really get motivated, and whenever they feel they're stuck at their work, they know there is somebody whom I can get back to. And when I say about decision maker, as a decision maker, the leader must establish the direction of the company, and he should be really able to take that pressure, because sometimes leaders take a lot of pressure and they work under pressure because some of the critical decisions needs to be implemented. So in that scenarios, the decision making is very important.
Kick him out. It's okay.
And the last one is about visionary. So as a visionary, I should be able to see what culture I would like to drive in my team, how much space I'm giving to them, so that I'm able to manage and build a strong organizational culture that motivates employees to follow it. So these are basically some of those definitions as you see there: supervisory and coaching, decision making, and visionary. So I think this is a basic definition what I would like to share with you all on the transition leadership. I hope you all are with me till now. Fine. I think since I can't see you all on video, so let me know in a chat box if there is any issue, anything we need to just expand more. So just drop a note there on the chat box. Okay, moving to the next slide. Why are leadership transition important? So we know now what is the leadership transition. We know something basic definition about what are the sub areas a leader has to manage. So we all know the definition of leadership transition. Now when I look into why is this so important, why is this transition really important, yes, definitely we all agree upon it. This is one of the important transition, and we all know what is it going to yield organization in the long run. So below you can see a pictorial representation which says like a successful transition results in 90% of higher likelihood that teams will meet their 3 years performance goals. And also there is a data which says like there is a lower attrition risk. And if it's an unsuccessful transition, you know what it results into? It just results into the less engagement in the team and the lower performance, and at the end it leads to the higher attrition risk. So this is a data which has been picked up from the CB blogs, and it always talks about the leadership transition is really important. It drives a lot of engagement, it keeps the motivation level of the teams up, and it also makes sure like the team's attrition rate is low. So this is one of the important topics. So we all know it is not something like I can't take it for granted, right? Tomorrow if I'm a leader, it is going to come to me something as a normal. No, it is not. I need to put that extra effort to make sure like my leadership transition doesn't result in a failure, right? So I need to be really keeping those tips, um, constant watch whether I'm going to be into the successful transition of a leadership. Like something, what happens is like many of the times we also say like whenever there is a higher level of transition, like at executive level, what happens like a new senior leader's action or inaction will significantly influence the business, which is the core business. And in spite of high stakes, leaders are usually unprepared, or sometimes it so happens in the organizations like they are under supported, okay, during the transition to the new roles. I mean, they get a very not like open arm support, right? So okay, come, you are a leader, you have joined this team, let me take you and let me be mentoring you for the next 6 months, 3 months. No, some of the times, yes, leaders find this challenge because they need to swim by themselves, because they get very less support. Some organizations definitely have a very laid down path where the support is very good, but still there are a lot of those areas which are, I can say, those gray areas, gaps, which are still difficult to kind of build up, because we will be seeing what are those areas, why do leaders fail, as on when we just move to the next slide. Because you will see some of those areas which in the organization definitely those leads to sometimes failure, and sometimes our own unconscious bias also kind of tends us to be moving to those unsuccessful transitions. So we need to be very careful when you are into this stage. Okay, now moving on to the next topic, why is transition leadership difficult, right? So we have seen right now what is the definition, and why is it all about so important to us? What does it leads? What is like organizations going to get benefited? And now I'm going to talk about why is transition leadership difficult. Why is it difficult? When I look at something, this leadership, it demands the extra time from a leader. Earlier the person would have not been into this role, and he was just focusing on his individual goals, on his targets, and at the same time he must be supporting some other teams. So that was his routine. But when he moves to a leadership role, this transition becomes a difficult, because he needs to spend that extra time, extra effort. And when he's working for a team, he needs to attract his talent, and also he needs to retain the talent. Okay, so he needs to make sure what are the different ways he can retain the talent. And many of the situations as a HRBP, when we are supporting those business units, we always try to spend some time with the leaders, so as to we can really understand what are the challenges, and we keep spending the time with the leaders. That is also one of the I can say like biggest support for a leader, when he gets a good HRBP in his team. So we must really support the leader. How can we attract and retain talent? And again, developing the current talent. So definitely for here also, there is a lot of role as a HR we play. how can we develop the current talent. Right now the projects are focused on a certain skill set, but in future, if the project is scalable, so the uh, team needs to really grow into those skills so that they can really take up those projects either in the team size or in the skill set. So it's very important for a leader to keep growing and developing the current talent of his team. Managing performance, yes, this is very important. He needs to see who is a great performer, who is not very great performer, and how can he really bridge that gap, in the targets. And he needs to spend a lot of time, right? So these are very important for a leader, and it takes almost 75% of his daily work routine as a leader, because he's just doing the people management effectively. Creating leadership teams, okay, so he needs to make sure like he has internal leadership teams making decisions even under pressure, right? As we mentioned earlier, reorganizing to capture value quickly, reducing long-term overhead cost. So it is always looked up like you should have your balance sheet properly. There should not be any additional cost, because you need to have the budget allocated for other purposes. So as a leader, definitely financial also comes as one of his important area where he really needs to make sure he is working properly. And these are few of that, and like apart from that there are many more, as a leader he should be focusing on. Okay, now on the same slide I would like to give certain data points to you. When I say about why is transition leadership difficult, it's not only homegrown leader who say about this transition is difficult. So there is a data which says like 79% of external and 69% of internal hires into this leadership role feels like implementing culture change is difficult. It's really difficult to kind of manage any kind of a cultural change which is existing. And like many of the leadership transition will have a failure or it will be a disappointment. So the data says like approximately around 30 to 40% of the transition either results in failures or certain kind of disappointment. And the main thing what leaders say, the biggest thing which they say or they say as a reason to their failure here is like the politics, culture, and people. So as we all know, this is very much specific to the organization. When you talk about culture, people, and politics, this is very much part of the organization. And anything related to the organization, if it is not getting a good support to the new leader, he will definitely going to not be a like very effective leadership role. So this is something, a data which has been put up saying that this is not only about internal leaders, even the people who come from external also feel sometimes, if the organization doesn't support them in this transition, they can't make the right strike and the impact on the team members. So now we all know Marshall Goldsmith, and what he advised. He says like, what got you here won't get you there. So you need to be really putting that extra effort. You need to be spending that extra time, in making sure like you are the efficient manager, you are the effective leader. Okay, we can't take it for granted again like, okay, I'm the best manager, I got a best manager title in my organization. And if I'm even moving outside my organization, definitely I don't have to really put anything extra effort, because already I'm there, right? So already I'm there into this leadership role, so I should only just understand about few basic and I should be able to navigate. Okay, so what Marshall Goldsmith says is exactly right. Don't be under the impression like if you have worked something till here, you should not be working from here on. So that is not really going to give you any results. Okay, so this is about that. And now we will be talking about what are some of the things that makes transitioning to leadership role easy. So I have put up some of the points here, and we will also talk more about these points. This is because still I have not gone to the main topic like transition from peer to leader. So I'm still in the basic slides, which I'm just making sure like we all understand about the transition leadership even before going to the agenda points, right? So what are the tips? How can you make transitioning to a leadership role easy? So let's look at these points. Delegate more responsibility in current roles. So when I say about delegate more responsibility in current roles, what is it we all know is it is very important to make sure that employees are empowered to take the full responsibility of solving the day-to-day problems, right? I mean, we should not be waiting for one bigger problem and then do the root cause no, analysis. We should be solving the day-to-day problems that arise in our current roles, rather than going to a manager, no, to find out those solutions. And this is definitely going to help us in building our confidence, and it will also make sure like we reach out to the right person at the right time. The other is on the creating low risk leadership opportunities. So just I'll take a pause here for 30 seconds. Anyone wants to share anything on it? Like, what does it mean about creating low risk leadership opportunities? You can just type in your chat box if you have come across something low risk leadership opportunities. Okay, I'm just looking at the chat box. Anyone who wants to just type something on it, what do you understand by low risk leadership opportunities? Not taking aggressive goals, yes, very much. Anyone typing in the chat box? I'm just waiting for a few more seconds. Maybe just make it more interactive so that we all understand same thing. Involves lesser risk and impact is lesser, yes, very much. The impact is lesser, and at the same time definitely we make sure like we take the task and we deliver results out of it without impacting organization much. Giving simple tasks to understand the potential and interest that will not impact the company in a big way, very much right. That's true. That's true. Yes, absolutely. So definitely, I think like you all are with me on it. And moving to the topic here, let me put the chat box down. Yeah. So when I say about create low risk leadership opportunities, um, leading others is a frightening burden, right? To throw on the shoulder of someone who has never done anything like it before. You take anybody and put them into doing some task of a leader, it's a very frightening burden. I mean, as a person, if I have not done something earlier, I'll definitely feel panic and I will really feel frightened, right? And this is why it is important to create entry level opportunities where employees can practice leadership. So here I'm saying practice leadership. Okay, so as we all know, we can't get leadership straight in one day, in a month. We need to practice that. So we need to create those opportunities. We should not be waiting for okay, let this person grow in his career till the mid-level, okay, or let him complete 5 years, then I'll open the doors to leadership. Not exactly. You need to create level, right? It is the responsibility of the organization. It is the responsibility of the manager to create those responsible areas of leadership at the very much entry level, and they can practice those leadership without too much pressure. At entry level definitely there won't be much pressure because I know if I come to the organization, I'm sure like nobody is going to really expect a big out of impact or a really great result out of me. I know it's a learning journey. At the same time, I'll not feel that pressure, right? And when I start that at the very right time, I'll be able to perform that from the entry to the mid level as and when I grow into my career, right? So when I transition into bigger roles, this becomes very easy to me in practicing this leadership. And this can be right. You don't have to really think what should I be giving to the person as a entry level leadership practice. So yeah, many of them start thinking, what should I be doing? He has just joined the organization. He has just completed the probationary period. He has just completed the apprenticeship. Let me wait for some more years. So this is very simple, right? As like for an example, you can let an employee schedule and lead a meeting, right? He can definitely schedule something, a meeting, and he can lead a meeting, or having employees take turn as shift manager for a day. Yeah, somebody with little experience, you can ask them to be a manager for a day shift, Or you can also have some employee engagement activities, staff events, volunteer days, something like team building activities, which are a great opportunities for employees to experiment with leadership. And by leading such events, what I'm getting as a manager, what I'll be really saying, I'll see employees can build the important confidence, and also they get a feedback. At an entry level, it's very easy for a team member to give a feedback, right? If I expect a feedback from my team members at a leadership role, definitely there'll be some kind of hesitant, okay? But if it is an opportunity which is extended at an entry level, definitely I'll be very quick, I'll be very spontaneous to share that feedback with a person who has taken the task, right? And he will be very happy to even hear that feedback, because it is just going to give him a space to be more good in the next activity. So we should always create those low risk leadership opportunities, right? Moving to the next, which is all about create a mentorship coaching program for leadership roles. What happens, like despite the great organizational benefits they offer, internal promotions sometimes are very challenging. When I say about challenging, this struggle not having a good mentor, not having a good coaching program for the leadership roles and all those things. So what we should be doing in an ideal situation, we should always able to identify somebody within our organization as our mentor, who must be from the same line or who may be from the cross-functional team, and who should be helping us in our journey. Sometimes it happens, like as a leader, I may not be very comfortable in going back to my manager and talking about each and every situation which comes into my team, or which comes as a general. But if you have a mentor, if you have a coach identified, and you can definitely spend that extra time with your mentor and coach. Organizations have designed this framework for the leaders, and this is also one of the good feedback from the new leaders, and they really make a lot of time spending on this mentorship and coaching programs. Okay, next is the very important, provide training on soft skills, right? So first my 5 years is only focused on my core targets, on my job areas, on my focused areas. I never give important to my soft skills. I just don't even get into those extra additional curricular activities which happens in the organization. Any ERGs, I'm not a participant, okay? So I don't take part in all those activities. I'm just focused on my functional area. But just the person, as on when he grows in his career, for example, after 5 years, when he has to lead a team, he then realizes like, okay, this is what I have a gap. I don't have a proper soft skill training with me, right? So he knows he's a very specialist in his functional training. He's very good, I can say, coding master. He's a very good accountant. He's very good in his work area. Unless and until he has those soft skills brushed up, he will not be a successful leader. And when I say about the soft skills, it is nothing but like setting your goals, conflict management, your communication styles, whether you're a good listener, empathy, and no, right? So many trainings which do happen on soft skills. And initially we feel like those trainings are not much beneficial to us, but as on when you grow in your career, these trainings you do practice in your day-to-day meetings. You also practice them as one of your important target. It takes almost your 50% of your leadership role into those soft skills trainings, because you need to be really impactful. You need to be really stand in front of your team members, and you should be able to show that confidence, right? So that is very important. Help them network both inside and outside the company. So when I'm transitioning into a leadership role, it is very important for me to have a network in the company and also outside the company. And having the strong professional network is one of the biggest blessing, right? You all must be having your own professional networks outside. Keep growing your professional networks. Keep in touch with your professional networks. That is the way you come to know what's happening in the community. You will be able to keep yourself updated. And sometimes you can also quickly catch up with those professional networks, and right, you can seek some solutions. So don't think these professional networks are not of much use. So help them network. You create your networks inside and outside your companies. Give them enough room to fail. The next topic, give them enough room to fail, is something we all feel is not a very positive sentence, because failure is something we expect not to be there. But this is something very important. Sometimes what happens is, with a lot of pressure, a human being is, he kind of collapse, and he kinds of get fail in his targets. It's not a big thing, it is very common. And if you fail, you should keep in mind, what are you learning out of your failure? When you're transitioning into the leadership role, definitely you will not be able to success in all your 10 targets. There will be some kind of a failure, but is that failure in your control? Can you make sure, like, next time the risk is mitigated, you will not be repeating the same failure? Do you have enough resources towards that? So these are some of the things which you should be learning out of those things where you fail. So you should have some room, so that you can keep a list of those activities and you can improve it in the next time. Reward and recognize small achievements in the new role. So anybody who takes up the new role, there should be a constant motivation, like rewards and recognize, because as a leader he also needs those continuous rewards, recognition, which helps him to kind of take the next challenging assignment. So I hope with all this, I can move to our first topic for today, which is like, as I showed you in the agenda, and I hope till now you all are with me. Okay, the first topic for today is like transitioning from peer to leader. I have some more slides here, but after that, trust me, the topics are there, but under that the slides are reducing, because the major slides portion is covered into the beginning. And this is also one of the important, where I'll be spending around maximum 8 minutes, so that we all understand this phase of transition leadership. Transitioning from peer to leader. So when I say peer and leader, so what does it mean? Like, right now I'm a team member in a team of 10 people, and after few months, maybe because of my performance, because of my other skill sets, the management feels I should be leading the same team. So what is the transition all about? What is the challenges in front of me? How will I mitigate those risks? How will I navigate successfully? So this is what I'll be talking up here. Okay, transitioning from peer to leader. Your success in taking on a leadership role is dependent on building positive working relationship with direct reports. I think that's absolutely right. So as a leader, when you're working for a team, your entire success of leadership is nothing but it's a direct relationship with your team members, who are your direct reports. And here are some steps to help make the switch from peer to leader as smooth as possible. So when I come to this slide, I just want you to make use of the chat box and just mention some of those things. What are those items which you would like to emphasize when you are making this switch from a peer to a leader? So today I'm a peer and tomorrow I'm a leader for my team. So what are the things I should be keeping in mind so that my transition is effective and smooth? So anything you would like to talk about here? Just make use of the chat box and you can type there. Down to earth attitude, inclusion, very much. Empathy, yeah. Effective communication. Thank you so much. I think very valid points, and we all understand these points are very important when we try to do this. And here are some of the points which I have tried to put it up here, and we can put many points here, because when you are doing this transition from a peer to leader, you should be keeping so many things in mind. You need to meet with your team. So when I say meet with your team, you need to really make sure, like, you meet each and every team member. Unconscious bias, definitely, since you were one of the team member earlier, there will be some space for that unconscious bias in your mind. So you should make sure like whatever decision you take, whatever things you take are practical in nature. Seek guidance. Though they are your team members, though they are your peer, you should not feel like you should not be taking any guidance from there. Seek guidance whenever you need to take the right advice from your team members. Set boundaries. This is one of the important thing. Earlier they were my colleagues, they were my friends, they were my team members, and I was like I don't have to really apply my mind when anybody approaches and asks me something. Now being a leader, what should I be doing, right? The same team I'm managing, so what should I be really doing? So you need to set some boundaries here. You should definitely draw a line where you feel like, okay, informal meetings, not on weekdays, it can be on weekends, it can be on Friday evening. So some of those things where you know where you should be drawing a line. Be firm when necessary. Many of the leaders face this as a challenge. They feel like, okay, he was my good friend, he's my good friend, so what will he think if I don't agree to his proposal, if I don't agree to his request? It is not the case now. You should know what is the organizational interest, and you should be firm on your decision whenever it is necessary, right? So just we'll move to the next topic here. What new leaders need to learn? This is very important. As a new leader, what should I be requiring to learn? And as earlier, like many of you participants have put up in the chat box, like inclusion, empathy, definitely those all are very important ingredients for a new leader to have in his recipe book. So how to assert themselves as leaders today when they were colleagues yesterday, how to determine priorities, how to manage up, that people come first. If staff is not on board, you will never succeed. That the world will not end if they delegate. They should know, like, it has to sometimes be delegation. That politics are all about relationship building. So this is one more term which we'll be going to talk soon. That balancing needs and expectations with realistic budgets can only be learned on the job, right? You can't do it just on the talk. You have to really get onto the job to understand that. Okay, now start by clarifying your role. So I'm into a new role of a leader, and I'll be having a lot of questions in my mind. So what exactly I need to begin with? Where should I be clarifying? I can just take a notepad. I can just start thinking on some of the questions. So these are some of the examples here which I've put up. The first one is like, identify the differences between your old and new positions. Definitely as a team member, what was I doing? Now as a leader, what am I doing? What is the difference between these two positions, right? You will get a lot of clarity when you start actually doing this exercise. Since it's all about now we are doing on a webinar, so I'll not spend much time here, but definitely it's one of the important tasks which in a group we ask, sometimes in individual we ask teams to do that. The second is identify the similarities between your old and new position, right? You have seen the differences, and now you'll be looking at something called similarities. What strengths and skills have made you successful in the past? As a team member, what were my strengths and skills because of which I was so successful? Which of these strengths and skills you would like to continue? Definitely we don't want to erase anything, we don't want to stop anything, we definitely want to continue the strengths and skills. So what are those strengths and skills? Definitely we should be continuing. What skills do you need to develop? If as a team member, if I have 5 skills, I should not be stopping that and only continuing those 5 skills, right? I should also be looking what are the additional skills. As a leader, I should be looking forward to develop those skills. Maybe in a day, in a month, I may not be getting those skills right, but if I keep practicing those skills each and every day, I may be getting some kind of a polished way of thinking on those skills. Okay, fine, I'm at a entry, I'm at a mid-level, and I should be able to manage those skills. I think this is a very good exercise. And also continuing this exercise, we have one more slide where we kind of make our individual plan. What do you need to stop doing? Okay, now I'm a leader, definitely I should be not doing certain things, right? So what are those things? As a leader, you are being always observed. As a leader, you are always being observed by team members. So there may be some very small things for you, but you should really make a note of those things which you must stop doing. And what do you need to continue? Okay, so what do you need to really continue? Earlier you used to greet your team members saying hi, hello, but now as a leader you should not be really stopping that. You need to continue those greetings. So you should always make sure your team members don't see the difference in your behavior, in your attitude, or in your leadership style. What do you need to start doing, right? Again, so if I'm a leader, what do I start right now? Okay, as a team member I may be coming to office after 3 or 4 team members, but right now I'm a leader, I'm a manager. It is not good if I come to office after all team members reach, so I should put that extra effort so that I reach well much ahead of my team members. And these are like some of the examples which we should really practice, and we should start really doing them. Maybe I was not doing in the past when I was a team member, as a colleague, but right now I should start doing some of those things. And until and unless you make this worksheet, you will not be able to implement, right? So I think you all agree with me. This is very powerful and effective template where we can put down our individual plan. Establishing goals. So it's very important. What are your goals for the next 6 to 10 months, 6 to 12 months? If there is anything additional, you can again refer back to the same worksheet and you can put that in the plan. These are my goals, and how will I be measuring those goals, and what is the target date for these goals? Now moving to some common challenges, right? These are some of the common challenges when transitioning to a leadership role. So I'll just quickly read out these 3 points which are very important in a leadership role. Learning the difference between leading and managing, right? What is leading and managing difference? We all should know. Leaders need to inspire, guide, and share purpose with their team, not just manage the assigned budget and hit goals, right? Very important. New social dynamics with former colleagues. Leaders often struggle to manage those who they used to consider their peers. I think this is very, very common. Some of you who would have seen this, right? Managing the same team. Yes, this is a challenge. Letting go of your previous role. Sometimes, out of habit, new leaders often try to continue doing all their previous work instead of delegating the appropriate task to the appropriate people. Now you have a team, you need to really delegate the task in a right way. But many of the times still we are into our those previous roles and we still continue doing our same work. You need to be more effective. So you should let go of your previous role. Moving to the next slide, which talks about ways to make transitioning to a leadership role easy. I think this I have covered earlier, so this is the same slide. Once again, I thought I'll be putting up here. No, this is going to help you when you are moving this, when you are having this transition. Now, moving to the next, which is all about transition toolkit. This is a diagram where you see managing and leading in the center, and there are so many circles surrounding it. So let's start one by one: role, communication, motivating environment, learning, planning, and politics. So these all are like entire thing is interconnected, right? Sorry. Yes. So this entire thing is interconnected, and this is very important diagram for a leader to make sure like he manage and leads by balancing all his roles very effectively. So I'll just quickly move to the next slides since we have very less time. So just going to the next slide, like when it's all about role, how do you understand where you stand? So there are some tools which in HR we do, like strength finders, disc. So these are some of the tools which we kind of see what are our strength finders and what are our bottommost strengths, so we can just quickly work on some of our strengths and we can collaborate in a efficient way in our teams, right? So there are some tools available, and SMART goals, it must be written, and it must be practiced. When I talk about communication, it's all about listen. It's like entire motivating environment relies on communication, right? You are talking something so lovely, but even if I can't hear a word you are saying, that is something like you are not up to your communication, right? You are loud, but I can't understand is something not a very great communication. Okay, it's all about politics. Next slide, when which I showed you in the beginning, like politics is something it's not a very right term, but here putting the main aim of politics is like it's all about organization culture. It's all about what is our organization strategy, how are the decisions made, how can you collaborate with your cross-functional team so that you can understand your organization better. So this is something about those areas. It's not about the other politics. And you should always make sure you have a chart in front of you where you know what are some of those things which you don't know, or you would have heard but you don't know much about those areas. And if required, whom can you approach to know your organizational politics more at any given point of time. Okay, that was all about my first focus agenda. Now I'm moving quickly to the next two agendas which I have in my today's session. The second is like transition from an individual to leader in a different organization. Okay, so when I talk about this is very, very much stressful, I can say, because you are a individual in your past organization and you are joining some other organization at a leadership position, at a managerial position. So you know what is the most important thing is the first 90 days of your onboarding. Okay, so I get onboarded on January. The next 3 months is very important because this is something all about my personal discipline. This is all about my clarity, what I'm looking to learn in the next 90 days, whether I'm going to just only set my rules, or whether I'm going to collaborate, whether I am showing that empathy, is it all about inclusion. So the first 90 days for any leader in a different organization, it's very critical, it's very crucial. Many of the times there are some of the things where we come with a preconceived plan. Okay, so I would have come from a manufacturing experience and I join a startup, and I should not be going with the same preconceived plan. I can't expect all employees at the same time to be in the office, right? So you should avoid those preconceived plan from your previous organization when you're joining a different organization. And then you don't make changes before you have had time to notice the pattern. When you're in a new organization, what exactly you need to see? You need to see the pattern, set of pattern in the people, in the cross-functional teams. You need to see in the entire department what are the patterns you see. You should not really change anything in the first 90 days. Literally, that is not required right now, because even to make any changes, you should have the data and the facts in your control. So you have to be a very good observer to know those patterns. And you should give the existing team members the respect they deserve, right? So the day you just join the other organization, you can't expect them to be in the fast track. You can't expect them to finish their targets before the deadline. You should be giving them the respect. You should be giving them some space so that they can come and talk with you, right? They should get that confidence, right? I can go to my new leader, I can talk to him. So they should get that confidence. And you should always take a note of their strengths. As a leader, when we go and join some organization, we should not always see those gaps and areas in the first 90 days all about. We should always make a note of their strengths and see what is the team's talent, learn what is their aspirations, what is about their career path, because it is not your same team, same organization, it is not your same company. You are in almost an external environment where it's all about talking, observing. And you should not be at the same time be afraid of unpopular. Okay, suppose you need to support some of your team member, maybe going out of your shoes. It can be something like giving work from home for the 1 week. Maybe the other departments may talk something, yeah, and you may become very unpopular. You should not get afraid of those things. You should do what is best needed for your team at the right time. So this is about transitioning from from an individual to leader in a different organization. Now I'll be talking just for 2 minutes about the next topic, which is about transition from leader to leader outside organization. So we have covered 2 points, and this is the third point where in an ABC company, I am a leader, right? I'm a manager. I'm joining another organization outside as a leader. So there is no change. Definitely here I'm a leader, there I'm going to join as a leader. But what is change there? It's all about organization. I'm in ABC company and I'm going to join XYZ company. So that is the only difference there in the organization. So what are the things I should be keeping in mind? Very, very important. If I brainstorm, I just found some of the very important and relevant topics here. Culture. I don't have to really learn about my work. So I know about my leadership skills. I know about my leadership abilities. But what is that which I need to really spend those 90 days here? It's all about knowing the organization's company history, ethics and values, and team management. Because here the team is different, right? So these are some of the areas which we need to really look into. And as a leader, when I join other organization, I'll not get everything right on my table. Okay, read this, read that. Okay, you need to really navigate. You really need to connect with other leaders to know about company's history, culture, because each company has got their own culture, their own history, ethics and values, right? How can you quickly adopt those values? And entirely the new team, how will you manage that entire new team where you are going to join and lead? And while doing all this, certain things to keep in mind: check your ego. Some of the companies, when they hire new team members or a leaders, what they really look at thing is like to make things happen smoothly. Okay, you don't have to really complicate those things. Find common ground. Okay, it's not personal. Whenever we say it's not personal, it's business. For many of us, our business is personal, and it's very important for us, like finding similarities will help us to relate to each other and make easy interactions and conversations whenever it's about good times and the bad times, right? So it's like I need to be more open to learn new things in a new organization. And again, don't assume your transition will be smooth and it will happen on its own, right? As a leader, the organization, the external organization expects you to learn by yourself a lot of things, right? So you can't expect like it's going to happen on its own, right? So this is also very important. Now quickly, the last topic for today is transition leadership, women after break. So, I'll not take much time here because we need to have some time for our Q&A. So the thing which I would like to talk here about is many of the women who were in the leadership role go for a break, join back the organization. And yes, definitely, given the same opportunity, they will deliver best. But if there is certain things which you all need to work upon your leadership skills, the sincere request is like, make a summary. What do you want to really learn in your maternity break, in your career break, okay, whatever it is. And you when you join back, your team members don't see the gap in your leadership style. So the first point talks about here is like, after a break of 1 to 2 years, what will success look like for me in next 12 months after a break of 1 to 2 years? What personal disciplines or skills do I need to develop to ensure I do what I can to work towards that success by striking a work life balance? So the next slide will give you more clarity when I talk about these 2 points. Okay. So it's very important for a woman who is going to join back the organization as a leader to have something, a graph of this kind, where, we juggle with so many activities after a career break, because, career break sometimes is really not a month break. It's almost like more than 10 months of career break. Short career breaks are always taken, but that are really a good break. But when you're on a long break, it's very important to do the priorities in our work. What is important, urgent, not important, which is just not urgent for me. So once you know about this exercise, you will be able to manage the work and your family best. And as a leader, you will be able to have that transition going on smooth. Unless and until you do this exercise, still you will have certain kind of issues related with time, because you're not able to manage the time effectively, or you're not able to manage your targets as per the deadline. So these things will keep on building a lot of pressure on you, right? And it's really not good to take the pressure in that situation. So it's very important to be very clear, very focused, what's more important to me when I join back my organization as a leader. And with this, I come to the last slide of today's session. Yes, this is the last slide for today's session, and I would like to close this with a note. The leader of the past was a person who knew how to tell. The leader of the future will be a person who knows how to ask. As simple as that, right? So it is it is said by Peter Drucker, and it is very important and powerful quote for all of us to know this. Thank you so much. There are some of the references which I've taken this various articles, various topics. So I have listed down that as well in the slide. So I think we have very less time, Ankita. Sorry for taking so much of time. Uh,
Not a problem, Sangeeta. Thank you so much for such a nice session.